Hey, it's Kristen here, and I am wanting to talk to you today about mastering persuasive messaging in your content creation efforts. So, it's one thing to create content using a carefully researched and curated content plan, but the other thing that you need to bake into your content is persuasive messaging so that it resonates, hooks, and converts your audience. So, just how do you do that? What do you need to include in your content so it is persuasive? Well, today I'm going to talk to you further about the three elements that you need to include in your content. Number one is you're going to need a unique method. We're going to go into that in more detail. Number two, you need to speak to how you help them. And number three, your backstory. And woven in all of this, you need to include storytelling. So I'm going to dive into this all in a few minutes. And then when I'm done with talking about those three things that you need to bake into your content so it's more persuasive, I am going to talk more about how can you master it, what really goes into some of those pieces, like your unique messaging, your unique mechanism. What is that? And what are some effective techniques for persuasive messaging in your content creation? But before I dive into this, I just want to give you my backstory. So for some of you who do not know who I am Kristen Poborski. I work with coaches, healers, and content creators. And I have been creating content for myself and my clients since 2002, 2002. I was doing something else back then. But anyways, since 2012. And a lot has changed since then. Back in 2012, there wasn't a lot of people creating content. People weren't really creating video, and the whole landscape was much different. You could get by with just a written piece of content with a bunch of keywords put into it. But nowadays, you need to bake in content, messaging into your content. You need a good content plan and all of that. And I've discovered that over the years that I've been doing that. And in my help with my clients, I'm just going to talk about one of my star clients, but he has been using my methods, my 12x content creation method, and I've been using it to repurpose his content into YouTube, a blog, and his podcast. And as a result, he gets people coming to him every single day wanting to work with him from around the world because we have the right content in the right places. And because of that, it's helped him grow his business to multi six figures and have a waiting list of one-on-one clients wanting to work with him. So just using all of the same things that I am going to go over with you today. So let's dive into really the power of your unique mechanism. Now, most people don't know what a unique mechanism is. And I've been talking about that this week because I've been running a beta test where I'm teaching people how to do mini sales presentations every week. And in those mini sales presentations, I'm telling them to teach their unique mechanism. Now, your unique mechanism is what you do. How do you do things like my 12x content creation method? It is my unique mechanism that gets the results for my clients. So it doesn't bother me to teach that because people could go away and try and figure it out and do it themselves. But the way that they're going to get results really fast is if they learn it from me. So don't be afraid to teach what your unique mechanism is, but not the how. They have to pay you for that. So, and when you do that and you start repeating it and you start talking about it all through your content, people are going to start remembering that name. So your unique mechanism really needs to be named. And that's going to help you stand out from the rest of the people in your niche and to show people that you've got a different way to do things and that it works. That's how you create demand and get people paying attention to what you're doing. So, just a second. I got to tell my dogs to stop that. Hey, stop. All right, let's start over here again. So, and in my own business, I talk about my unique mechanism all throughout my content and in my beta tests and whenever I'm working with people and doing my mini sales sessions. So it's really effective because I don't mind teaching it, because it gets people aware of what I do and it's helped me create demand. Just because of that, I'm enrolling people into my courses, even in smaller situations, even in beta tests, because I'm explaining how it works, why I'm different, and then people naturally want to come and work with me. Okay, so then the second thing that you need to have in your persuasive messaging is really how you help people. So what you want to do is you want to speak to the problems they're facing, the fears they're facing, and the desires. So what they ultimately want. And that, when you can explain, you can talk about those things that are bothering them and how you help and the outcomes. That is where you really get into the nitty-gritty of how you help people, right? You help them solve these and you bake in the stories and you bake in your unique mechanism. So you're kind of building all on this onto your content topic. So it really works to do that. And you want to provide tips on highlighting, you really want to highlight the transformation when you're sharing the stories. And that gets people to see that, oh, I can do that too. So you're busting objections right then and there. Plus, they really can, sometimes it's one thing that you talk about that resonates with someone that really creates that desire. So I'm going to share a story that caused me to go buy a program from someone. I was listening to someone, a person who's an expert at building webinars, and he was talking about how he did his first few webinars and he was only selling ones and twosies. But when he started using this unique method, it blew up his webinar presentations and he started enrolling, I don't know, 5 figures, 6 figures, launches with this unique method that he was using. And when I heard that he was only selling onesies and twosies, because that was me at the time, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just like him. If he can do it, I can do it. He's got the method. I want that. So I went and bought his program, learned a lot and applied a lot. And yes, it worked. So when you can do things like that and bake it into your messaging, into your content creation, you never know who it's going to resonate with. But when you share stories of where you were and what you did and how it changed things for you, it really resonates more than just telling people what to do. You've got to bake in the stories, talk to their fears, talk to their desires, and it will definitely help people, make you more relatable. Now, the next thing that you need to bake into your content really is your backstory. So this is really kind of how you figured out your unique method. And this gives you a whole nother way to talk about it. You explain, you're not really telling people about you so much. You're explaining how you discovered your unique mechanism and how it changed everything. That's even more important than I do this, I do that, I was in this corporate and then I had that. Nobody wants to hear that anymore. People want to hear stories related to whatever it is that you are talking about. So I have a couple different backstories. I have one that I tell when I'm creating content, but if I'm talking about course creation, I have a unique method and a backstory about how I discovered that unique method. So you can have unique mechanisms and backstories and things like that that are different based on what content you are sharing with your audience, whether it's in an email, it's in a video, a podcast, whatever. Okay. Then the next thing really is, well, that is really all of it. Sorry. Because I said I was only going to cover 3 things, right? So I'm going to hop into the questions next. But in the meantime, if you are ready to create profitable content so that you can become the best known for what you do instead of staying the best kept secret, I have got an easy to follow step-by-step guide called the 6-Figure Content Creators Roadmap. It walks you through each of the steps that I take to create profitable content that helps build my audience, and it's the same things I teach in my courses and use in my clients that helps them also build their audience and turn them into paying customers. So I've got that link right down in the notes. So let's dive into the 3 questions that I'm going to answer. The first one was really, I want to answer for people who want to know, what is persuasion messaging in content creation? It really is the art of crafting messaging in your content that influences and persuades your audience to take a desired action. And it could be even just listening more to your content. So you need to include, all the things that I talked about before, such as your unique mechanism, your backstory, sprinkle in stories. Don't just sit there and recite 1, 2, 3, do this, do that. You need to be compelling in how you're presenting your content. So you want to include those storytelling things because it's going to appeal to people's emotions and to really keep them hooked in. And if you start talking in addition about their needs, their desires, their pains, and their fears, it gives you another way to demonstrate how you are the person, the go-to person that can solve their problems, okay? And when you include examples in that, it even further cements your position as the go-to person. So that's how you definitely bake in persuasive messaging, okay? So when I use that word kind of or whatever, that's a word to avoid. You want to use words that are not like kind of, sort of, things like that. Avoid those. Use like more powerful words that are in line with what you want them to take. So you never use the word kinda. You want to be like absolutely sure that what you're saying is the right thing. It's just one of those fall to things, I think, sometimes that I say, because who knows, it's baked into my brain, and I know that it's much more powerful to say, this is what you need to do, instead of this is kind of what you want to do, this is what you want to do. You need to be powerful in your delivery. So let's go into question number 2 is, how can I master persuasive messaging in my content? Well, it requires practice and understanding those techniques that I'm teaching you here. So here's some steps to help you with this. What you want to do, and ChatGPT is the thing you want to use to help you figure this stuff out. I teach this inside of all of my funnel classes and my beta tests when I'm teaching AI. So these are the things that we always start out with whenever I'm taking anybody through AI, whether it's to create an email sequence, a funnel, a sales sequence, any kind of thing. So what you want to do is identify your target audience. You want to understand their pains, their needs, their desires. You do that, you can put all of that into ChatGPT and it's going to pull out all that research. It's exactly what I used to do back in the day when I used to use this technique called copy stalking. Although what I did back then was I would go to Amazon forums, see what people are talking about, things like that. Well, ChatGPT can get you all that information in just a couple of minutes with the right prompts. So you definitely want to do that. Now, the second thing you want to do is create a unique selling proposition. This is your mechanism, and you want to communicate what that is, the value and the benefits in how you describe it. And that will differentiate you from your competition. And when they start hearing that name again, it's going to keep resonating with them, and it's going to help you stand out as something different. Then the next thing you want to do is take that and you want to create compelling headlines for your content. So you can use ChatGPT to do that. Like, you could take a whole script and say, hey, plug it all in there. Will you give me some headlines, compelling headlines for this copy? You could say, can I craft 7 of them? And you're going to probably find one in there that's really pretty darn good. Now, the next thing you want to do, of course, is have great images that are no longer than three lines. So when people see the images in your YouTube or on your blog, it's easy to read, right? Real clear, bright, vivid. That helps too. So I usually take that headline and make sure that's right inside of my image, because you've got a good headline. It should hook them in. Why not use it on your image? Then the next thing is always sprinkle in storytelling. No matter what you're doing, tell a story. And if it's not a specific story, you can use an analogy, a metaphor. It's kind of like when you hear people say, oh, it's just like driving a car. You learn to do it and then it becomes second nature. So, I'm just shortening it, but you could use an analogy, like if you're describing something like that. Okay. And again, you want to appeal to the emotions and the logic. So you want to use strong words. Don't say kind of, sort of. Be persuasive in your delivery. And getting comfortable with your delivery takes practice. That's why you create content every single week, so that you can get better and better. Like, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So, and then of course, always, always, always have a clearly stated call to action that relates to whatever you're doing. We don't ever want content to be a dead end. You want them to take the next step. So you always give them the next step, which is to opt into this, do that. There needs to be some logical next step that you're giving your audience. So that takes me to the third question, is what are some effective techniques that will also give you persuasive messaging, right? Okay. So the first one is, again, social proof. Tell those stories, case studies, reviews, testimonials, things like that. Anytime you can do a case study piece of content, fabulous. And then you can take that story and use it over and over, all over in your different stories. Because I'm sure if you're working with customers, students, clients, you've got stories to tell about things you've done for them or they have done using your techniques. So definitely do that. The next thing is create scarcity, limited availability. If you're selling something, you want to urge them, tell them why now is the right time. The next one is, again, address those objections. So there's 7 objections. Can I do it? Do I trust this person? Money? Do I really need it now? It's not important to me. All those things, you want to address those things in your content, okay? And I teach that all inside my Smart, Simple Content Marketing and Creation program, where I talk about, when you talk about their fears, hopes, desires, all that kind of stuff, you can use those kinds of things then to bust their objections on why you should do it now, because you can talk about if you wait too long or you do it now, that gives, what's going to happen in the future, things like that. So you definitely want to use address those objections and tell stories and give them reasons why not to wait and to take action and do the next thing. And again, always provide evidence, storytelling, and if you can, statistics are very powerful too. So support any kind of claim that you have with relevant data, research, statistics, stories that will help further enhance your credibility, which also busts an objection because people don't necessarily trust you because they don't know you. So the more you show up with content that is powerfully recreated with powerful messaging in it, the more people will be naturally pulled and interested in what you have to say. So if you are ready to create content that does all of that, I've got a great guide for you. It's called the 6-Figure Content Creators Roadmap that walks you through all of the steps that will help you create profitable content that will help you build your audience and turn them into paying customers. And I've got that link right down below. So if you haven't grabbed it, go grab it right now. And just remember, one thing I want to leave you with is that mastering persuasive messaging. It takes time, experimentation, and it takes practice. So what you want to do is continually analyze your content to see what's resonating with your audience and go and look at how long they stayed on and listened to it. And you're going to see how effective your storytelling, your presentation, your presence, all of that will keeps them there listening to you. And then just refine your messaging and keep doing it because you're just going to get better and better the more you create content and bake in these persuasive messaging elements.